Good afternoon. My name is Frank Niesenbaum, and I am with the business development team here at Saas. And I want to welcome everybody to our presentation this afternoon on the ERP in the cloud or in my server room. What's best for my business? It's a lot of exciting information. Our goal this afternoon in terms of your expectations are to provide some value to you. Provide you information, give you a little education and justification for working with an organization like ours in regards to how you move to the cloud or in your on-premise solution. If you have questions, please send them to the Q&A box, or you can email them to me directly at fniesenbaum@socius1.com, and we'll do our best to answer them as quickly as possible. In addition, we'll follow up with you individually. So let's continue the conversation. What can we do next? So ERP in the cloud or in my server room, the cloud conversation is everywhere today. You see it on the news, on TV, in magazines, on the radio, on the internet. It's everywhere. This is what you can expect from us. I will provide you with some valuable information as we go through it. But I do believe that you'll find that again, the information is everywhere in the market today. So why is there so much buzz about the cloud? Obviously, you can sit in on 10 or more different cloud webcasts and probably see 10 different messages. There's some key data that we feel is important as you go through your analysis individually around the cloud solutions. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is going to be your opinion and where your company fits. So that's what you'll have to analyze on an individual basis and understand where the cloud will take you and whether or not you see bright skies coming in the storm clouds, which you'll see the little picture in the corner. You see a beautiful scene, but as well as the clouds are rolling in from outside. So that's something you'll have to go through on an individual basis as we provide the information. So let's talk about some of the challenges we see today. First of all, the consumerization of IT. Most businesses today, will find a lot of mobility being part of the marketplace today. 50% of the businesses are expected to be on smartphones, iPads, other mobile devices by 2014. So obviously our mobile workforce is out there, and it's something that needs to be addressed. Secondly, a distributed workforce. There's a lot of organizations today have remote workforces. We see a lot of different trends in this area. Salespeople on the road, service technicians in service organizations. As well, many organizations today are offering their employees and their staff members the ability to work from home in a virtual workplace. So 84% of organizations have some type of remote workforce, and that's something else that can impact how you determine whether the cloud makes sense. Infrastructure utilization. Another important area, more infrastructure than is necessary in many organizations. The statistic, 85% of data center capacity is idle on the average. So there's a lot of investment being put into, dollars being put in to maintain that hardware, and some of it isn't even being used, and those resources could be put to other causes and options inside the organization, so that's major. And then similarly, infrastructure complexity. 70% of IT budgets is spent maintaining the data center operations that are in place today. So money is obviously allocated to maintain, update, and change existing systems, and that money could be spent, or those dollars could be allocated and spent on growing the business or other areas of the organization, as well as other applications that might enhance or make the organization more efficient and help with the growth of the organization. So those are some of the challenges that we see in the industry today. Now let's address a few of the changes in what we see in the small and medium business market. First of all, aging systems. So some of you or many of you may be on legacy systems or old applications. And the questions that you're asking yourself internally, do we upgrade? Do we replace? What will the cost be involved in doing that? And many times that's part of the decision or part of the process of making a decision about moving to the cloud or remaining on-premise. So aging systems is one of those issues. More demands and less spending. Obviously, there have been a lot of economic challenges in the country and around the world. Many organizations have cut their IT budgets or have limited IT dollars to spend. So the cloud offers some options in the way that costs can be spread over a longer period of time and other things that are available. But again, the IT budgets are definitely being cut and limited in many cases. Rejecting big IT spending. This is similar, but as well, you may have, excuse me, you may have large projects or extensive IT requirements that are out there. But again, getting approval for a large IT expenditure or an ERP or CRM solution or a new implementation may be difficult. But the cloud offers an option for spreading those costs, again, over a longer period of time and maybe being able to do it in phases and being able to bring that in a less expensive way up front. Always connected. And we've had a lot of conversation around the changing world, the global economy, many new ways of being mobile in the workforce. Global pressures, so people need access from all kinds of areas outside of the normal office or the normal brick and mortar space. So wanting to be always connected in today's world is something else that is part of this decision. And then everything being online. I mean, in today's world, we're all shopping online, we're doing everything, paying bills, doing everything online. The world is transitioning in many cases to an online environment, and it's very common for that to include your ERP and or your CRM solutions as well as you move forward. So the conversation is about the cloud versus on-premise, and that's something we'll take a little closer look at. But before we do that, we'd like to pause for a minute, and we're going to show you a quick video that, as I launch this video, is from an existing client of ours that we successfully helped move to the cloud with their ERP solution. And this video is running from our website, which you'll be referenced to a little later in our presentation. So if you sit back and enjoy just for a couple minutes.
My name is Tom Brand. I am VP of Finance for Unirush Financial Services. We are a marketer of the prepaid debit card, Rush Card, in Cincinnati, Ohio. Yeah, when I started working with Unirush, the problem we were having with our accounting systems is our sister company was supporting us on the accounting side, and so we were stuck with their accounting system, which was old, arcane, and slow. And so having experience with GP and Microsoft Dynamics in the past with Socius, it was a natural fit to call them up and see what they could do for us. The cloud is a great solution for Unirush because we're a growing company. We're just expanding so fast, and our IT really does not need to be focusing on accounting per se. So having GP in the cloud is great. We only have a few users, so it really works to our strengths and helps us grow our operational side a lot faster. Working with Socius has improved the way we do business because we're able to get financial statements out in a matter of days now, and we control our own destiny, whereas before, when we were using our sister company's accounting system, we'd have to wait for them to do their close processes and procedures, which could sometimes take days. And so we're just able to work at our own schedule and move very efficiently.
Okay, so hopefully that offered some value to you in terms of hearing it from an existing client of ours that actually made a smooth transition to the cloud with their Dynamics GP software. It was very easy to do and made a lot of sense for them. And some of the issues that he mentioned we'll be talking about a little further in detail as we go through the presentation. So the software debate. Here we are, on-premise versus or cloud services. And frankly, we like to think that in the middle there, instead of an or, it can be an and. This decision isn't black and white to go only to the cloud or remain on-premise. You have choices. In many instances today, there's a combination or a hybrid on-premise and cloud solution, and we're more than happy to talk to you about those types of options. You know, in the on-premise world, typically the conversations revolve around security and privacy, customizability, visibility and control, and data accessibility, and we'll talk about those things a little more as we go through the presentation. And on the other side in the cloud, Global reach, we've talked a lot about mobility already and international and the global presence. Ease of provisioning and pushing systems out to the team members. Business agility, that's another one, again, very often discussed in the cloud world. And deployability and manageability, how easy it is to maintain and work with the systems that we deploy. So again, it doesn't have to be an or, it can be an and something important to keep in mind. Excuse me. So let's take a little deeper look at some of the benefits. So when we compare benefit comparison, we're talking about the software as a service in the cloud and on-premise. And in the software as a service, obviously we're talking about software as a service and cloud as a combination. It can be truly host or truly online software as a service solutions, but also solutions that are just hosted in the cloud. So that there's a whole lot involved in terms of what the cloud really can mean to an individual organization versus on-premise. So let's first of all talk a little bit about what your organization size is. In the cloud world, many of the analyses will say that if you have less than 50 users, it's probably less than 50 users probably most effective in that type of world. And in the on-premise world, if the count is more than 50 users, it probably is more competitive to host it on-premise. But again, as we go through these different characteristics and these options, nothing is really black and white. It varies. You may have large organizations on-premise and in the cloud. There's a lot more to it. As we go through these different characteristics, you'll see more and more of what can help drive that decision or at least that conversation. So that's one criteria. How strong are your IT competencies? This is big and very important. Many smaller organizations and even in some cases mid-sized businesses, large organizations have little or no IT staff. The company can get a lot of benefit out of being in the cloud without all the implementation and maintenance headaches of everything that goes on in the infrastructure and the actual support of the system on site. And on-premise, companies that have an extensive IT staff or a lot of investment in infrastructure. Also there, you're seeing less of a drive towards the software as a service or the cloud platforms. In many cases, you have to look at who is your internal IT staff. Are they other people in the organization, that type of thing, that could be more productive in other areas. So again, little or no IT staff. Makes a lot of sense to consider the cloud just because, that could be handled by your provider. And on-premise, if you have a full functioning IT staff, there may be less of a desire to move in that direction. Do you tend to work with software out of the box? And when you look at your applications, you're pretty straightforward, out of the box, ERP and CRM solutions, not a lot of integration to third parties or other applications that have been developed in your organization, or typically heavily modified reporting, then the cloud makes sense there as well because it's easy to deploy and get up and running and put out in the cloud because there's a lot of extra work to be done. In the on-premise, again, if you have heavily customized applications, a lot of self-developed products, a lot of third-party or other application integrations, it can add fixed and variable costs of the deployment if you consider, the cloud as well. But again, even in this case, it's not black and white. Lots of integrations are done through the cloud and to applications on premise. So again, we go back and forth, and when I said before, it's not an and or it's not an or, it's very often an and so applications and things can be done both in the cloud and on premise in a hybrid environment. So some other important topics. Can you deal with downtime events? Everybody is, I'm sure, aware of Hurricane Sandy and other events that have taken place in the near past. When you look at cloud and on-premise, typically in the cloud world, the organization such as Saas that's hosting or providing your hosting solution, has redundant systems, 24/7 staffing, scheduled off-peak downtimes. And if you can continue with rare downtimes, the cloud is likely a good fit. And on the other side, if uptime is critical, it's likely to be better. It's likely to be better on premise. But I will caution you there. The one thing I would tell you to bear in mind is while it may be better on premise, the need for a disaster recovery plan to ensure that when your power goes out internally from a hurricane or a storm or something like that, and we'll talk about this a little more later, that you have a backup plan if you're on premise versus what your provider would have if you're in the cloud, because in that situation you'd be up and running instantly with access to the internet. So the statement, evaluation of the provider's downtime history, this is important. When you're evaluating your partners, no different than when you're evaluating partners on the ERP and CRM side, it's equally as important to evaluate your hosting partner like Saas in terms of their downtime history. Ask questions. You want to understand, get references, knowledge of their customer service. What services are included? What does it provide? That service level agreement is also key to the whole process, and your understanding of what your options are and what your requirements are and what the services that are going to be provided will be. So that's key as well. And then the last one from this perspective is minimizing upfront costs and controlling the cash flow. So from this perspective, it's important to think about in the cloud world, the startup costs can be very little or none, very minor in terms of getting up and running. The organization supporting you handles the security, data backup, disaster. The disaster plan is done for you, where your information is stored and other IT-related tasks. Excuse me. In the on-premise world, there may be tax implications to an outright purchase versus a monthly service fee. So we get into a conversation between CapEx or capital expenditure versus operational expenditure or OpEx. And it's important to talk to your tax advisor about which may be more beneficial for your organization from a tax perspective. More dollars up front, higher expense that way, or capitalization, or operating expense that's more on a monthly basis. Something that's for you to have that conversation with your tax planner around. Again, that's another criteria to think about. And then the statement, understanding the contractual details, something you need to bear in mind and keep informed on, and as part of your process of evaluating the cloud, is what's the exit plan? Should the need arise, what can you do in terms of moving from the cloud back to on-premise? Or vice versa, if you're on-premise, what's it going to take to get to the cloud? What are the costs for converting? What are the software costs, the implementation and transition costs? It's important to understand that because obviously in today's world, organizations change and grow and situations change all the time, and you want to know what your exit clause is or how you can get out or how you can get in depending on the situation or the option that you choose. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit now about when the cloud actually makes sense. But when we have the discussion, we're talking about both sides. We're actually talking about on-premise and the cloud, and what types of things affect that decision. And I think you can individually take that into account and think about where your organization fits best, whether it's in the cloud or again, on-premise. So reducing capital costs. Avoiding spending a lot of money in terms of purchasing and replacing hardware. And we're not just talking about servers, we're talking about the operating system and all the business process software that you use. All those pieces have to be maintained. There's a purchase involved. So when you're looking at a new system, maybe you're purchasing outright, you're buying a new system altogether, and there's a lot of dollars involved. And it's not just the ERP and or the CRM solution, it's also the hardware, the infrastructure, the wiring, the cabling, the operating system software, things like that. There's a lot involved, and going to the cloud offers the option of having that taken care of for you by someone else, by the organization like Saas that's hosting for you. And internally, again, we looked at it before. If you have all these costs in place and they're already there, and you have the staff to maintain them, then that may be something you consider. Extend your IT department. So when you look at your application, your ERP application in the cloud, a lot of your help desk support, as well as other tasks that your IT staff may be doing, procurement and server configuration, are all reduced. And it's giving your IT staff, if you have IT staff, the ability to concentrate on other things where they can take their talents in report writing or database development or application development or things that really can help them more focus on improving the business or generating revenue rather than on technical problems. And in other organizations, we find often in smaller, mid-sized businesses, the IT staff is actually someone on the accounting staff or in the finance department or even in the marketing department. They're not really an IT group, and because of their efforts in terms of supporting the IT work in terms of the ERP system or or whatever solution it may be, it takes away from the time that they should be doing or should be working on their normal job, which is to, again, help the business grow and generate revenue. So this is a key area we see. Then improving your ability to scale. One of the nice things in the cloud world is the ability to add or decrease users. Again, you remember you're paying on a monthly basis for the software, and the users that you're using. So if your business changes, and hopefully it changes for the better, and it's a growth mode, and you need more users, it's a simple process to add more users to that cloud solution. Or if, again, for some reason you have to decrease the number of users and downsize, it's just as easy to pull a user and stop paying for those services. Obviously, there's contractual items to think about, but it's pretty easy to do in either case. And then the other side of that is possibly trying out new applications, or you want to implement another feature of the software, possibly manufacturing or project accounting or something else you want to implement, but you're just not sure that it makes sense for your business. Well, in the cloud, you can do that on a limited basis. Add a user or two, or allocate a couple users to do that. And again, it's more on a monthly basis, and the large capital outlay to do all of that and implement that isn't there, and it can reduce the risk and help spread the training costs across a longer period of time. So that's another way that you need to think about in terms of where your situation is and where you see your organization going in the future. Improve security. So oftentimes when we look at the cloud and we talk cloud and on-premise, the conversation around security is that, everything's a lot more secure on my server than it is in the cloud. Well, that's not really the case anymore. So most cloud providers, such as in our environment, that have enterprise-level expertise, that we know how to secure data, and it's often more secure than it would be in your own server room, just because that's the business that we're in and the model that we work with. So that's not, something that should hold you back from a thought of moving to the cloud. But again, it's something to consider. Business continuity. Again, we come back to this, and we'll see it again towards the end of the presentation. Disasters strike, natural disasters, events occur that we have no control over. And maintaining your business continuity is vital to your organization, being able to supply your customers, pay your bills, grow your business. So, in the cloud world, that is, ensured, because your environment is hosted by someone else, and in the event that, God forbid, there's a tragedy or a disaster at your organization, storm or fire or whatever that may be, if you have a disaster recovery plan in place, that'll be helpful. But in any event, regardless of what you have in place in the cloud world, you're up and running as soon as you have an internet connection, and that gets you back up and running. So business continuity is key in terms of one of the considerations. Flexible reporting. Oftentimes there's a concern about what reporting will be available to me if I'm not in the cloud. If I'm not on-premise. Well, really everything that you can do on-premise in terms of business intelligence and dashboarding and reporting and visibility is accessible anywhere in the world or anywhere that you can access your system in the cloud. So that also is one that isn't as often talked about as it used to be. Tight integrations with Office and Outlook. In the Microsoft world, all of the Dynamics products in the cloud have the same integration capabilities and options as the ones on-premise. So whether it's ERP and CRM or Outlook or Microsoft Office, you need to work with your cloud vendor like Saas, just to make sure that your processes are in place and that we can automate all of your processes in the cloud. But again, that integration is something that's available for all of the solutions that you might work with, and again, the cloud is a good way to bring all that together. But at the same time, again, there is a hybrid option always if it's something that must be on-premise in your world. So continuing the conversation about when it does make sense in many cases, startup organizations. If you're a spin-off or a new division or a new location, or you're an actual startup, and in many cases when it's a startup or it's a new division, something along those lines, the budgets are limited. Most of the dollars are being invested in the products, the services, advertising, marketing. things like that. So when you look at the ERP side of the business, while equally important in making sure we have the information and the knowledge to run our business, the dollars may not be there to invest in a large infrastructure or a large IT project. The cloud offers a quick and less expensive, more efficient way to get up and running quickly and then be able to expand as your company continues to grow. So that's another one that makes a lot of sense. You know, and we touched on it a number of times, global expansion. So it could be national, it could be international. Businesses are growing around the country, opening offices in other parts of the world. So it eliminates duplicate systems or the thoughts about how we're going to connect to one solution. And with localization and language capabilities in the various ERP products, that becomes even less of an issue as you bring them together and host it in the cloud and give people access from anywhere and virtually on any device today. That's the future and today. Expand employee access. So, you know, again, one of the things that's often talked about today in today's world is the green initiative. So if your organization is looking at how to help and work with the environment and save paper and save travel costs and those types of things, obviously a lot of organizations are giving a lot of consideration to the virtual workplace and offering their employees the opportunity to work from home or from other areas around the country. In that world, you know, you're saving energy and dollars for fuel and those types of things. And the cloud offers those people the same access as they would have if they were sitting in a desk inside a brick-and-mortar office. And the second part of that is around the security. So if you have employees that are venturing out and they're working from home or they're on the road, you don't have to worry about them taking out flash drives or laptops or where the data is because they're connected via the cloud to the server in the cloud and all the data is there and all the information is there. So security and worrying about transport of data and critical information is not something you have to worry about in that world. So it also can be a benefit from that perspective. And then the upgrades without interruption. So obviously everyone tries to plan for upgrades, and upgrades happen for all solutions, whether it's ERP or CRM. You know, and oftentimes you have to plan and you have to look for ways to use your internal resources to plan those upgrades and have downtime and coordinate that efforts. Well, instead, those efforts can be coordinated with your vendor and they're done at an more opportune time, so that when your employees come in the next day or after a weekend or whenever it may be, they're ready to take advantage of new functionality, and you didn't have to allocate extensive costs and resources to doing those upgrades because they're done for you at the source, at the cloud-hosted facility, you know, in an organization. We do that quite often, and so it's for our clients. It's part of our process. So when you're looking at other ways to move, giving you a fresh start. So if you're looking, your organization's been in place for some time, things have been going a certain way, but you're looking at ways to improve your business processes or add systems or new solutions or expand that out in some way. The cloud oftentimes gives you a very economic and efficient way to test out those new processes and put new things in place without extensive upfront costs to do that. So it is a way to move and take a look at your existing organization and re-architect some of those processes and do that. And then the continued relationship with the trusted business partner. So part of what we're trying to impart on you here today is how you work with a partner like Saas. By selecting a solution in the cloud, you're still going to work very closely with an organization like ours to implement that solution, provide the training, the support, the education, and the value. And we believe in our world as a provider of both the ERP and CRM and all the other solutions around those and the hosting services, we can be that one-stop partner that can provide those services to you in a cohesive environment. And that's important. And you are not going to lose that connection to your trusted business partner. It's just expanding the relationship. So the last slide that I have, so to speak, in terms of knowledge, and I stress this again, is it's a picture of the hurricane evacuation route. And I guess it's really on all of our minds because of what's going on with Hurricane Sandy, and it's happened previously. And oftentimes we sit here, if you're in Ohio, you're not on the West Coast, and you weren't directly hit by the hurricane, you know, we sit here and we think, oh, that's not going to have an effect on us, it's somewhere else. I can tell you here in Ohio, both from this hurricane as well as from Hurricane Ike, power was was put out here in Ohio for days and sometimes in some cases for weeks. And so the question to ask is, does your business have a disaster recovery plan? And if you do, is it mission critical to operating and running your business? And if you say that it is, which in most cases I'm sure that you will, does that disaster recovery plan meet those requirements? And is it going to keep your business running? So we talked about business continuity, and we talked about expansion, and we talked about being able to service our customers and work with our clients. And obviously those are important pieces of the decisions that you have to make as you evaluate these types of solutions and how to have them deployed. So at the end, in terms of regrouping and bringing all this together, we say, why Socius? Well, we like to say to our clients, we're a consulting organization, but what we are trying to do is bring improvement in your business processes and your procedures, leveraging current and future technology to help you to guide you through that process. We bring our expertise, and we look at it as providing insight. What we're trying to do is help you streamline things inside your organization and make better decisions as your company grows and expands. It's the insight that we bring, frankly, from our years of experience in the industry. And so the ultimate goal is to help you drive down your costs, save money, expand, increase your efficiencies, and the ultimate goal is to become more profitable in your organization. And how we do that is we have extensive years of experience in the ERP and CRM world, as well as in the cloud computing world with the products that we represent, and we bring those best practices to bear on your project to help you maneuver through the process of identifying the right solutions, and then how to deploy them, and then how to support them and continue to grow with them over the course of your organization's lifespan. That's our goal as a partner with our clients. Socius is partner or ally in Latin. That's what it stands for. And at the bottom of the screen, as we are a Microsoft partner, we have all of the gold competencies in all of the ERP and CRM products from Microsoft. Another item we like to point out is we are a member of the Microsoft Master VAR program, one of 3 nationally that is out there to work with smaller partners and help organizations grow and help them service their clients. It's a very important distinction that we're honored to hold with Microsoft. We also are a Sage partner, representing all of the Sage products in both in on-premise and in the cloud. And that's what Socius can bring to bear on any opportunity we work with you on. So hopefully today you've gotten some good information, some general education and knowledge about the cloud and on-premise solutions and what options are out there. We'd love the opportunity to talk to you further and move forward to the next step. Feel free, if you'd like, to visit our website and request a complimentary business strategy assessment. You'll see the link there to our website, and we'd be glad to perform that with you. And I encourage you to go out to our website, and as I showed you with Unirush, and look at our clients and our team members and their testimonials to what we do and what the solutions can do and how your organization can transform as well. I encourage you to do that. And then continue to attend our webinars. We hold webinars throughout the year on various products, various services, various opportunities for you to help and grow your business. And last but not least, Microsoft is in the season of giving, as we're entering into, has a promotion out there to win a free ERP system. And if you go to the address in our website there, Win to Grow Business Challenge, you can have some fun as an organization creating a video. It's kind of a whole process around a fun event that might lead to your organization earning or winning a free ERP and consulting opportunity with Microsoft. So last but not least, again, my name is Frank Niesenbaum, and I'm with the Business Development Team for Socius. Feel free to reach out to me either directly at my phone number or at the email address you see, and I encourage you to visit our website. As you saw when we looked at the video, there's a lot of great information and content for you to evaluate as you go through the process of selecting ERP and CRM solutions, but as well as you determine where your best deployment is in the cloud or on-premise. And I thank you all for joining me today. Take care and have a great day.